Okay, so why do I talk about so much about success from the inside out and why it's so important to build yourself internally and the law of attraction and how to manifest things? Why do I talk about that stuff so much as it relates to entrepreneurship? Because as a business development coach, most of the time when I encounter people that want to develop a business, they want to know, RJ, tell me how to make the money. Tell me how to become profitable in this business. Tell me how to specifically walk away from my job and never work again. Most of the time, that's the mindset people are in. And I'm not opposed to that because that's the ultimate goal. But at the end of the day, there is a process to get there. And most of the time, the process is not just an external process, it's an internal process. Because all of us know people that have been grinding and hustling and struggling and fighting to get ahead for the last 20 years. And they are no closer to it 20 years later than they were when they started. They're just more tired, right? Because they have perfected the external. They know how to stay up late at night. They know how to grind and hustle and worry themselves half crazy and stress themselves out. But they haven't really figured out how to produce profitable and sustainable results on purpose all the time because they don't know how to manifest the success from the inside out. Because as I always say, that whatever's going on internally within you, those are the things that are coming out of you. Those are the things that you are seeing in your external world. And how this system works is that things that you do externally never fix what's going on internally. They just put a Band-Aid on it. So you can grind and you can hustle and you can chase money all day long and you can feel good about that. But if internally you're doubtful, if internally you're fearful that you're ever going to reach the level that you truly desire to be in, all of that grinding will never fix that internal doubt or that internal unbelief. And that internal unbelief, that what goes from you, that level of emotion that goes from you, that is what you attract more of. That goes into the statement that you don't necessarily attract what you want, you attract what you are. So you better spend quite a bit of time becoming the thing that you want. Because a lot of us, we operate in fear. I always say when we are born into this world, we come into this world with a blank canvas or a blank chalkboard. Sure, I believe we come in with certain innate intelligence, but the majority of the stuff that we get when we come here, the way we see things, the way we perceive, the way we interact with certain people, those things are learned behavior. They're behaviors that have come from our parents. They're behaviors that have come from society, our teachers, friends that we've encountered over the years. All of those things start to write on our chalkboard. They shape our perspectives. They shape the way we see things. They shape the way we think. They shape the way we believe. Ask yourself right now today, certain things that you believe, ask yourself, well, why do I believe that? Why do I think this way? And if you're honest with yourself, it'll go back to some level of something that has been programmed within you. It's not an original thought. It's via programming. And I always say, if the programming is not right, you're never going to produce the outcome that you want. We have perfected working on the external, which means we know how to show up, right? Most entrepreneurs, we know how to show up. We know how to put on the right attire. We know how to put on the right smile. We know how to make the great ads. We know how to, stand in front of the right props or the right cars or, get those checks where you blot your name out and you show the big numbers. We know how to perfect the external things to where it looks good. But the question is, have you worked on the internal things? Because no matter how much of that stuff you learn to perfect, if inner you're still worried and you're still doubtful and the things that have been written on your chalkboard are not pushing you to produce in line with what you want, it's still not going to work to the magnitude of where you are. So let's go back to this chalkboard. So after everybody, society, mom, dad have written on that chalkboard, at some point in our lives, we reach this crossroads. At this crossroads, we have to ask ourselves, are the things written on my chalkboard, are they still serving me well? Are they still helping me to go in the direction that I want to go in? And most of the time, about 99% of the time, we find out that the majority of those things, they aren't helping us to move forward. Because if you're an entrepreneur today, especially if you're a new entrepreneur, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a part-time entrepreneur, and what's written on your chalkboard says that becoming a full-time entrepreneur is hard. Becoming a full-time entrepreneur is difficult, and most people never make it to that level. It's not until you get rid of that information written on your chalkboard that you can successfully transition into full-time entrepreneurship. You can work at it all day. You can do it for the next 10 years. It may happen a little bit, but for the most part, you'll never reach that level. Why? Because internally is what you're manifesting. Success, it comes from the inside out, not from the outside in. That's why people can chase money their whole lives and never really obtain it, versus somebody that starts to work on themselves, starts to pursue a passion. They get happy in the midst of, they start living and enjoying life, and they start understanding how to rewrite what's on their chalkboard. You'll see that they stop chasing the money. They stop only working on the external things. And as they work on the internal things, the money starts to chase them, right? You just start to look up and opportunities start to come your way. Things start to show up that you didn't even plan for. And as I started to live this, I felt that it wouldn't be right if I didn't teach it, because I live by the quote or the statement that nothing ever worked for me until I started working on me. That's when business picked up. That's when things started to change. So a lot of people will ask me, why do I spend so much time on this stuff? Because the first step is developing the mind of an entrepreneur, developing the mind of somebody who has stepped out of a realm of just doing things like everybody else do them. And they've stepped into a place to where they are willing to stretch themselves. That's a different mindset. That's a different philosophy about life. Oftentimes I'll go back and I'll look at certain successful people that I have a lot of respect for. And if I can go back to find old interviews of them and look at their journey, a lot of times you'll see even way back when they were different. They thought different. They spoke different. They believed different. There was something about them. There was an intangible, something that you couldn't quite put your finger on that was different than other people. They played by a different set of rules. They had a different philosophy about life. And a lot of times you don't reach that level until you willingly start to develop that way of thinking, until you change your philosophy, because the way I'm talking about thinking, it's not taught in school. There's no life 101 class in school to teach you how to believe a certain way or think a certain way, or to get rid of fear or not have doubt, or not second guess yourself, or not what if yourself into scenarios that you never wanted to be in. There's no fear 101 class in school that tells you how to get rid of fear and how fear can be detrimental in your journey as an entrepreneur. People tell you that fear is okay. After all, everybody has it. We could argue on that. But the thing is, again, is that way of thinking, is it working for you? Is it producing what you want it to produce? If not, you have to question it. You have to question, number one, where does it come from? And number two, is this level of learned behavior or learned belief, is it promoting me down the path to reach the thing that I want to reach? If it's not, why are you holding on to it, right? And it starts with the information. You have to reprogram the level of information that has been written on your chalkboard. What type of information do you expose yourself to? Is it the opposite of what you want? Because then I have to ask you, how does that help you? Is it in line with what you want? Anytime that I'm embarking on a new journey, my first goal is to find information that supports what I want. I wanted to become an author. I always wanted to write a book. Well, I talked to a publisher lady that told me, I don't know if that's a good idea, RJ, because people don't buy books anymore. That's the wrong information. I am allowing her to write on my chalkboard something that's going to cause doubt, something that's going to cause me not to believe and manifest from the inside out the thing that I want to produce. So I got rid of that, and I went and I found a best-selling author. This gentleman told me, yes, people still write books. I've been on the bestseller list for X amount of weeks. I sold 10 to 15,000 books in the last couple of weeks, and that blew me away. That information wrote something different on my chalkboard. That information promoted me to produce something from the inside out, because now I didn't have the doubt or the unbelief that was going against the thing that I was trying to manifest. And oftentimes we're two-sided. We're out here working to build a business while we're countering and sabotaging that same thing within ourselves. So we're staying up all night and we're killing ourselves, yet internally we don't even believe that it could happen in the first place, because what's written on your chalkboard and the information that you have, it's contradictory, or it's contrary, I should say, to the thing that you really want to produce. So I just wanted to share that with you guys real quick. Understand, that's why I talk about this so much, because entrepreneurship is rooted in personal development. Your business is only going to grow and go to the level that you're willing to go and grow to yourself. So with that being said,